Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Tech Life with Mohsin. And today we are going to discuss how to prepare for a big tech company interviews. Before that, if you haven't subscribed my YouTube channel, please go and subscribe. Let's get started. So the first thing that comes into mind for any interview is how to even apply for a job or how to get the right fit that we are looking for. Then second thing is how to get an interview call after you find that this is the job I'm looking for, and how to prepare for the interviews. So the interviews can be of various categories: telephonic interviews, your face-to-face or on-site interviews, and your company-specific preparations around that because it varies from different to different companies. Google might have some other scenarios to judge a candidate on a soft skills, or Amazon will have their own interview process. So that we should be prepping for. So let's see the next slide. How to apply for a job. Now, the first thing that comes into the picture of any software engineering role is how to get a job profile. So, first thing is most of the companies have their career site. You can go and look for the open positions and see what is the exact fit for your domain. And then second thing is your LinkedIn connections. It's very important to grow your uh, LinkedIn profile, as I would recommend. Having a good connections, having a large number of network is very important. Second thing is it could be one of your friend who is already working there. So I would proceed with bottom to top in these options. If my friend is working it somewhere, definitely I will go and ask him to refer me. Don't hesitate. I would suggest never hesitate in asking help from your friend, from your colleague, or any LinkedIn connections. Because the most important thing is to get a call. And if you want to be on a queue on a upper side, you should always prefer someone who is always working there, who had a connection within this company, because the queue of the resumes is too long to look for HRs. Next thing is get an interview call. Now there are certain scenarios which play a very critical role in getting an interview call. Like how much experience do you have? How many industry experience do you have? What particular domain you have been working for? What companies you have been worked earlier? And how rich your resume is with lesser verbose. Always remember, hardly 10 to 20 seconds a recruiter will go through your resume. To make sure a one-pager resume is always a best practice to follow, to ensure that you make sure that one pager is good enough information carry out your profile. And the last thing is, how did you apply for this role? So the important part, as I mentioned earlier also, if you have a colleague or your friend who is already working there, please ask them to get a referral. It's always a bonus. Now let's come to the interview process. In a software engineering interview process, the majorly divided into three different sections. One is telephonic interview, which is basically carried out by most of the big tech companies to ensure that candidate is qualified for the on-site round. Then next come to the on-site face-to-face interviews, where typically any other company takes 4 to 5 rounds. Again, it depends on your experience and the kind of role you are applying for, but at least four you will see common across any interview process. And last is HM round. It is also known as hiring manager round or HR round. The name varies from companies to companies. Then how to prepare for a telephonic round. This is the first stage to your dream company job that you are looking for. The telephonic interview will decide whether you are going for the on-site or not. So the agenda for the interviewer is just to ensure that the candidate is the right profile for the job that he is applying for. The main thing to notice here is you should always be talkative. You should always think out loud and make sure that your thoughts are getting connected with the interviewer. Because most of the time, the candidates that lack in their interview, telephonic interview especially, is because they are not face to face. And it's very hard for them to convey what they are thinking, what they are trying to solve, and sometimes it's ended up being a rejection for them even if they have solved a question. A very important thing to notice is it's not necessary for you to solve a question, but it is necessary to ensure that your interviewer know what you are thinking for, what algorithms you are applying, what is your thought process to solve this problem? Because anyone who is interviewing you, he's just looking for a teammate where he can easily work with someone. So always keep in mind that you should always verify whatever information you are giving is accurate and the same is being communicated to your interviewer. And yes, when you qualify your telephonic interview, you are going for the on-sites. Isn't it something dreamy comes true that you are looking for a dream job in your dream company and you are first visiting their office? It's exciting, right? And the other thing that comes into anyone's mind is that nervousness that am I going to qualify? Am I going to get these interviews done in the way I'm looking for? Am I going to get this job? Always remember, this nervousness is common across all the candidates. Even when I was giving the interview for my Amazon, I had the same feeling. But before you enter your interview room, you should ensure that you just keep that nervousness aside and you should focus on that one interview that you are giving. Now there will you will have where 3 4 interview technical rounds. Now these technical rounds is also depends on your experience. If you have 3 to 4 years of experience, then you should expect 1 or 2 design rounds out of these 4 to 5 rounds. And if your experience is less than 2 years, then these rounds going to be mostly coding and data structures. And then you will have one HM or hiring manager round where they'll be looking for a team fit, your soft skills, and these things. Then let's see how to prepare for your on-site interviews. So I divided these 4 on-site interviews into 4 different categories. One is coding and problem solving. Another one is your algorithmic knowledge. Third one is design, and fourth is soft skill. So let's talk about each and everything in few more details. Coding and problem solving. I have kept algorithm also in the same section because according to me, these two are very correlated. They are very coupled. If you are good at your algorithm, then you are able to code. If you are not able to make an algorithm, your pseudocode works, then it's not possible to write a good code or a bug-free code. And as I said in my previous YouTube video as well, that if you are trying to solve a problem, always ensure that your pseudocode or your algorithm is ready. It helps you a lot to write a bug-free code. So the first thing that you should keep into mind is that you should always write an algorithm when you are trying to solve a problem, or not even write a pseudocode. It's okay, but at least communicate this to the interviewer so interviewer can let you know that whether this algorithm is going to work or not for the given constraint of a problem. A plus point that I would like to ensure here is the interviewer that is interviewing you is there to help you out. You should always remember that. That person who is sitting there, he will ensure that you are going into the right path. So if you are not able to share your thoughts, he will never know that what you are thinking. If you are able to share your thoughts, he will at least let you know that that particular algorithm is going to work or not. So always ensure that you share your thoughts, whatever approach you are taking for, it will give an advantage before going to the code. Because if you start coding and later you will get to know that this thing is not working and it will waste your time as well. Because that 45 minutes to 60 minutes is very crucial to get utilize it. And third thing is practice is the key. The only thing you can do best in coding an algorithm is practice. The more you practice the problems, the more you practice new algorithms, the new algorithmic posts, online articles, this is the key. It will help you out to rock your interviews. Then third thing or the fourth thing is common data structures. You should always keep in mind that these are the common data structure that has been asked across. So like string, arrays, linked list, trees, graph, and then these varies from companies to company as well. Some companies prefer to ask array and linked list and trees a lot. Some companies prefer to ask graph and trees. So you should keep a mind set ready that for a company that you are interviewing for, you should do a online research. What are the recent interview questions? What are the recent experiences? What have been candidate asked for a particular role? It will help a lot in your preparation. Then comes to the design rounds. In the design rounds, the people generally ask either it's going to be your HLD or LLD. It will be very hard to cover both, but it might be possible that your interview is looking for both to cover to give enough data points to the hiring committee. So you are expected to come up with the right questions to close on the requirements. It will be very abstract problem that has been given to you, like design a WhatsApp or design a messenger or design a cache. Now, this problem statement is very generic, and how to come up to a solution is you should always ask the requirements, the right questions, clarifying questions to what is the system requirements, because that's very important before even starting a design. And if you see the SDLC, the software development lifecycle, the 30 to 40% time goes just to collect the requirements, right? Because it's going to decide how your system will look like. Then third thing keeping in mind is once you have the requirement, you should go in an incremental mode. You should specify your system limits, or you should clarify what is the system expecting for, like what kind of traffic you are looking for. Then you should design your components, that in a particular design, what kind of components will get involved and how they will interact with each other. Then you give a high level picture of or the diagrams interacting with different components. It will help the interviewer to get to know that okay, this is how the overall system will look like. Then this is your HLD is done. Then comes to the LLD part, where you can specify these are the APIs will be needed to perform these particular operations, how this input and output will look like, what kind of tech stack you will use. And one thing here is that I would like to highlight: no design is wrong or right. There is only the system requirements that defines whether this particular tech choice or whether this particular design going to scale or not. So it might be possible that asynchronous API is a good call for some design, but it might not be for some other system. So it's typically what your system requires. That's why I highlighted even in a previous slide that the first thing that you should do in a design interview is clarify all the system requirements before you do any design. And that's it for now. I hope this information will help. In the next YouTube video, I'm going to include what kind of questions you should prepare from a coding and algorithm side, which should involve all master golden data structures that you should be doing.